Hi everyone, so today I want to show you this card. So I'm calling this a double floating tiered box card. Now the idea for this came from a video that Sam Calcott did recently called a double floating cube tower card, and it just got me thinking. And so I thought, oh, what right if we make them different sizes and tier them and who knows what. So this is the card I have made. The papers I've used are these papers are from my Yuletide Wishes paper pack, and then these are from my Holly Spriggs revised paper pack. Both of them are available as paper pads on Amazon, and they're also both available as digital kits over in my Ko-fi shop as well. This die here is from In Love Art Shop, so if you use my code ICEDImages, you'll get yourself 20% off. And then I've got a space on the back to write, nice little space on the back to write. You don't have to decorate the back if you don't want to, but I quite liked the idea of doing that. So yeah, the whole thing does fold flat. It folds down. Now I was folding it like this, and it will fit in an envelope for a 5x7 card. It's quite chunky, or if you want to, you can fold one forward, one back. Still fits in an envelope for a 5x7 card. If you want to make it a bit bigger, you can actually fold it down like this, and then it will fit in an envelope for a 5x12 inch card, which is quite large. But if you wanted to send it like that, you could. I thought as well this could make nice Christmas trees. That could be really cool little Christmas trees on the front. So yeah, so that is the card for today. So let's get into it. Okay, so for this card, you're going to need 2 pieces of base card that are 5x7. I've already stuck my white bit on the back there, but you've basically got 2 pieces of 5x7. We don't need to fold these, so they can go to one side. Then you are going to need 2 pieces that are 1¼ by 7 inches, and on these you're going to score them at 1/2 inch, at 2 inches, at 3½ inches, at 5 inches, and at 6½. Okay, so you can do that on both pieces. Then you need 2 pieces that are 1½ by 9, and on these you're going to score them at 1/2 inch, 2½, 4½, 6½, and 8½. So you can do that on both pieces. And then you need 2 pieces that are 1½ by 11, and you're going to score these at 1/2 inch, 3 inches, 5½, 8, and 10½. So again, do that on both pieces. Now what to do is go ahead and fold and burnish all of your score lines. So you should end up with that. So then what you want to do is we're going to start decorating them. Now I've already started to decorate one from each. So for this you're going to need in total, now it depends on how you want to decorate. I am decorating all of the outside, and then I'm just doing one square on the inside which hides a tab and hides some acetate. But apart from that, I'm not going to do any other on the inside. But if you want to do them on the inside, you can. So in total, you're going to need 9 pieces. So this is for the smallest one at the top. You're going to need 9 pieces of mat that are 1¼ by 1¼ and 9 pieces of pattern that are 1 by 1. So I'm going to go ahead now and just stick the last of these on, and then there'll be one spare. Okay, so that's that strip, those 2 strips done, and there's your spare, don't lose that. I'm going to put those to one side. Then next up we have the medium-sized pieces. So for this you need 9 pieces of mat that are 1¼ by 1¾ and 9 pieces of pattern that are 1 by 1½. So I'm going to go ahead now and just finish these off. So you should end up with that. So we're going to put those to one side and the spare piece. And then lastly, you need 9 pieces of mat that are 1¼ by 2¼ and 9 pieces of pattern that are 1 inch by 2 inches. And again, just going to go ahead and stick these down. Okay, so that's what you should end up with. So what we're going to do now is we are going to grab one of our pieces of red card. And on the front of this, you want to add a matte piece that is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and a pattern piece that's 4 1/2 by 6 1/2. And that is going to go on the front there. Okay, so that is what you end up with. So now what to do is we're going to take the bottom one first, and we are going to stick it onto the other side of this here. If you want to, mitre your tabs, you can, but to be honest with you, there's not a great deal of point to do that. You can if you want to. So we're going to put some glue on here. You can use red tape if you want to. I'm going to use glue and put it on like that. And then we're just going to take this and we're going to stick it behind the piece we're doing now. Now, one thing you want to make sure is that when this folds over, it lines up nicely on the bottom, and it will actually go right into that edge. Oops, right into the edge like that. Make sure it's nice and lined up. And then if you're using wet glue like me, you just need to let that dry. Okay, so I'm going to use red tape on the rest just because I really don't want to have to wait each time when I stick them down, and they might move if I use wet glue and I'm just on a film and whatever. So now we're going to add, I'm just going to go ahead and add red tape on the inside of this flap. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same again. So we're going to take that. Another way you can do it is to line it up along here like that, and then just fold it over. If you just bring this over like this, make sure it goes right into that corner. Make sure this is all nicely lined up, which it is, and then just fold it over. So that's another way of doing it. And obviously with tape, it just sticks straight away. So that is that bit done. So you've got these big massive bits. So next up, we want to go with the next size up. Now do watch that you are putting them on in order, because when I did my little prototype sample, I did make a bit of a mess of it and ended up with 2 long ones on one side and 2 medium-sized ones on the other side. So just really concentrate and make sure you're definitely getting the right size in the right place. So I'm just going to put the medium one on. I'm not actually going to stick it down yet. I'm just going to get some red tape on it. And we're going to get some red tape on the short one as well. Okay, so that's the medium one done. Let's get some red tape on these ones as well. If I were you, I would go for a non-directional pattern because it just makes life a bit easier. Okay, so bring your main card back in. Take the small ones, and the small ones are going to go at the top. And it's best to do top and bottom first and then do the middle, because then you can see roughly how much space you have. Well, actually, you can do that this way around, I think. Put a little blob of glue there. So again, just make sure it all lines up along the bottom, and then fold that over. Make sure it's really tight into that thing, and then stick it down. And then repeat the same process on the other side. So you should end up with that. So now if you take your medium-sized ones, what we want to do with those is they are going to go in the middle. And this is where you can work out where the middle is. And if you want to measure it, you can, but I find it a lot easier just to eye it. And if you stretch it all the way across, then you can get a good idea of, that it's level, that it's in the right place. And then we're just going to, again, curve that round and do the same with this one. So you should end up with this. It looks a little bit like a very large card spider. It's like legs, or like a crab. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add, and this one's not quite, I just realised this one's not quite straight, but anyway, should be right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add some acetate on, and we're going to put it in 2 places. I did test it with only putting it in 1, and I discovered that putting it in 2 was actually a bit easier. If you want to, you can go ahead and stick them together first before you add the acetate in. But again, I found it easier to add it in first before we then stick them together. It just is a little bit easier that way. So what we're going to do is go ahead and add some red tape on here. So this acetate measures, I think I did it just slightly smaller than the actual square. So these are 1 1/4 by 4 3/4. And as I said, I've got 4 of them. So I'm going to go ahead now and just stick this down. Okay, so that's where we're at now. So now what to do is turn this over, and on all of our tabs on the end here, these tabs here, we want to put red tape. Okay, so I'm going to put red tape on all of those. So now what we want to do is, before we shut them all up, close them all up, what I would do is take your other 2 acetate strips and put your red tape on. So if you lay them down, you can kind of see where they need to be. Okay, so I've done those. As you can see, I've put the tape on. When you're taping them up, just make sure you don't put the tape right on the edge. So where this is here, my red tape doesn't come right to that edge. I've left a bit of a border just to allow for, like any kind of movements, any kind of not quite in the right place, etc. So now we can go ahead and stick these together. So we want to come on here, take the backing off this one here. And then what we want to do is you want to fold just the tab over and bring it over and fold it in half like that, and then stick it down like that. Okay, so we're going to do the same with this one. So take the backing off, fold the tab over and fold the whole box in half like that. Same with this one. And then we're going to do the same on this side. So you've got this. If you want to, you can leave it like that, but I would like to stabilize these boxes so that when you move, they all move together. So that is why we've got these extra pieces. So what we're going to do, I'm going to be really daring and take off all of the backing in one go, because trying to get backing off once you've got it in is going to be a bit tricky. So we'll take all the backing off of here. And then what we're going to do is I'm just going to bring it, with it folded like this, I'm just going to bring it in here, bring it down the middle, and then we're going to shimmy it right over so that it's right on this edge here. And then when we're happy with roughly where it is, we're then going to stick it down. Just bear in mind where your tape is, like that. So now that whole section is attached. Now I've just realised I haven't shoved it down too far enough, so I've now got a bit of acetate at the top there. So I'm just going to trim that off. And then we're going to take the other one and do exactly the same on this other side. Now, those extra panels that we cut out, these extra panels, were meant to be inside the towers. However, I'm just realising that we don't actually need those. So I will have put up on screen that you only need 8 of all of these, not 9. So just ignore whatever I said before. So let's just take this one here and do the same here. Okay, so that's what you should end up with. So when you move them, they all move together, which is good. So you could display it like that if you wanted to. In actual fact, you could make those into Christmas trees. That would be rather cool. That would be rather cool. But I was thinking of having it more like that. But as I said, I quite like the Christmas tree idea. So, or you can make them, fold them out further. And then what we need to do now is we're going to turn this over and cover up the back with our other piece. So this is the other 5x7, and then I've got a mat that's 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. And if your mat's not white, you can then go ahead and add a white piece that's 4.5 by 6.5, and that is going to go on the back like that. Okay, so now we just need to go ahead and add our bit in the middle. Now I'm using a die cut. This is a die from In Love Arts. So if you use my code Iced Images, you'll get yourself 20% off. So what I've done is I've cut it out of green mirror card, and I've also cut it out of white card as well, just plain white card, and I've just stacked them on top of each other. And I made sure to put self-adhesive sheets on the back of the green card before I started die cutting, and also on the back of the white card before I started die cutting. So then it just means now all I've got to do is peel the backing off in one go and stick it down. And so there you have your finished card. Now if you wanted to, you could really go to town. I was thinking these could be little flower boxes. So if you want to do this for a birthday card, these could be little flower boxes. You can have little flowers popping out. On the top one, you wouldn't be able to because it'd make it too big, but you could do it here and you could do it here. It folds down flat, so you can either fold it like this, and if you fold it like this, it will fit in a 5 by, let's have a look, a 5 by 12. But I was thinking, because I like things to fit in a 5 by 7, you can fold it like this and like this, and then it will fit in a 5 by 7. It is chunky, so it will be chunky, but at least it folds down to a 5 by 7. So that was my aim. I wanted it to be able to fit in a 5 by 7. I mean, you could do one forward, one back if you wanted to as well. That's another way of doing it. Still chunky. You just, it sort of folds a bit easier that way. But yeah, either way is fine. But yeah, so then they just open it up, and there they have their card. I'm really pleased with this. Don't forget to go and check out Sam Calcott's original, which was called a double floating cube tower card. Really nice, and that's where the inspiration for this one came from. So make sure to go and check hers out, because hers is also fabulous, and I will be doing one of hers at some point. But yeah, it suddenly got my mind going of, oh, hang on a second, we could do other things with this. So yeah, so that is the card for today. So don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.